x, and then we'll also go variable and create the same thing for page y is equal to e dot page y, and we're going to verify that page x is equal to undefined. In that situation, what we're going to do is go page x is equal to e client x plus document body. Not something you have to memorize by any stretch of the imagination. This is something that you would use. It's an algorithm you would use if you want to track mouse positions. And then you just go document dot document element dot scroll left, and then you're going to do the same thing to calculate the page y positions. Page y, sort of crazy stuff you need to do to make sure it works on every browser. And then here, this is going to be scroll top, and then this is going to be scroll top as well. And after you have all of those calculated, then you're going to go document, get element by ID, and here we'll go mouse X, which is the guy that I want to target. And then I specifically want to change the value for that because it's an input element to the value of page X, which we just calculated. And then we'll do exactly the same thing for the Y position. So we'll change this to Y, and we'll change this to Y. And then to close off this function, put a semicolon here at the end. And you can see right here, as I move the mouse around, the X and Y positions are changing right there. Okay, so another interesting thing we can track. Another thing we could do is clear all of our inputs down here. And how we'd do that is just go document, get element by ID again, and we'll go clear inputs on click equal to, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a function again, and there is an event. Input elements is equal to documents, get elements by tag name. Another way we can target all tags, elements by tag name, and we're going to say that we want to clear all of our input elements. Now what we'll do is we'll cycle through all of these different input elements and delete them. So another interesting sort of thing. I'm just trying to think of a whole bunch of different things that I can show you how to do that you might need to do someday. And we're going to do length as well, and to cycle through them. And then we'll go if input elements I, that's an array, dot type is equal to text. If it's a text input element, we want to zero that out. So input elements again, target the value for it, and then make that value equal to nothing. And to do this, I'm going to jump out, make sure you get outside of your script tag, and I'm going to create a brand new button. And this button's whole purpose is to clear all of those input elements. So make sure you give it the same exact name, clear inputs. Close that off, and we'll just call this clear inputs. Close off the button tag, and now that we have that, save it and reload it. And you can see here all this different information is popping up here. Throw some more in there, and if I click on clear inputs, it clears all the inputs. Okay, so there's a whole bunch about event handling. Now let's take a look at element styling. Now, if you want to see all the different options you have in regards to styling, this is the website you can go to right there. And of course, that's also in the description for this video, or you can pause it and copy that down. I'm going to go ahead here and create a div that we're going to be working with, and then I'm going to create a whole bunch of different buttons that we're going to be able to click on, and they're going to change what's up inside of this little div we have here. So down inside of the script area, once again, let's set it up so that we can come in here and change the background color on a click. So document, and again you're just going to be doing get elements by ID, and here I'm going to specifically target change background color whenever this is clicked on. So that guy right there. I'm going to say when that button is clicked on, I want to do certain things, and what I want to do, call a function to execute event, and then I'm going to go document, get element by ID, and I'm going to target sample div. If I want to change this style on it, just go style. I want to change the background color. Again, the link to things like background color I just talked about there a second ago. So this is where you find all those things out. And let's go and give it a color, and that's how easy that is to do. And we're going to do similar things for all the other different buttons. And this one's going to be change background image. So we need a background image here. Let's go down here, throw that inside of there. Again, sample div, except this time we are going to target the background image. Background, change this from color to image, just that easily. And then we'll come in here and point at a background image that we think is going to work. Of course, you're going to use URL again, and you can throw whatever background image you want inside of there. I have one saved on my computer I want to use, and we can reload this background color. You see that change, background image. and make sure that's double quotes. And you can see the background image changed on that. We're going to be doing similar things with all the other different buttons. Change border style. That's this guy right here. Let's copy that. And then this guy is going to be border style. And then let's just make this solid. There we go. Now let's handle the other buttons here, and then we can play with them all at one time. Change border width. Paste that in there. This is going to be border width, and let's make this thick. And then just to do one more, let's also come in and change the border color. Again, we're going to just get this guy right here, paste that in there, change this to border color, and then we'll just change this to blue to keep it simple. Save it, reload. You can say background color works, background image works, border style works, border popped up there, border width, see it got a little bit thicker, and border color, and now it's blue. So there's a whole bunch of different ways we can play around with styles, and please go to that link that I showed you previously and experiment with all these different styles because it's very cool. Now I'm going to talk about manipulating the DOM. Okay, and by talking about manipulating the DOM, what I mean is I'm going to take these divs and all of these other different elements as you see right here. I went and just copy and pasted them in there, and I'm going to show you how to target those in new and interesting ways and manipulate them and so forth and so on. So you can see I just have a div, I have an image, I have a whole bunch of paragraphs, and I have a whole bunch of buttons here, and I'm going to go in and target those different things and make things happen. So we're going to be doing it in much the same way, document and write in this situation. First thing I want to talk about is how to get the current web page that we're on, and I'll put that on the screen. Of course, we'd be able to do other things. So let's say current, we would just type in window, location, and href, and there we go. We'll be able to get the current URL, and let's go into a couple other things that are similar to this. We could also come in here and get the current host, and we just change this guy right here to host name, and likewise we could get the current path, and for that we would just come in here and change this to path name. And if we reload this, you're going to see all those different things that we threw inside of here, but then you're also going to see the current URL, the current host, and the current path. I'm using a file on my system, so that's the reason why you don't see host right here, but that's the way that would work. Now let's go in and let's take a look at how we can change a site on a button click. We could of course have a change of site using multiple different other actions or events, but I'm going to use a button click right now. So I'm going to point at the button called Go to Google, and I'm going to say on click. As you can guess, pretty much everything is using those same events that I've already covered. And in here, what I'm going to do is call a function, and it's going to get an event passed to it. And then I'm going to do window.location.hreference, and we can change the hreference. Just make sure you put the HTTP inside of there. And now whenever you click on that guy, it's automatically going to jump you over to Google. Let's go and create a couple more things here. I could save that. Go to Google, and you're going to see it's going to take me to Google as it did right there. We can also come in and let's say we want to go forward a page. You're going to be doing the same thing. Document, get element by ID like this, and let's target forward page, which is the ID for that little button there. Going to do pretty much the same thing. On click equal to, and then we'll just call a function again, pass in the event, open up our curly brackets, and then we'll just say history and forward, and that will allow us to jump backwards and forwards through history. And also we're going to be able to go in here and also jump back, and you can probably guess exactly how that's going to work. We're just going to change this to back, and then we're going to get this button right here, which is named back page, and we'll just paste that in there instead of forward page. Another thing we could do is we can jump multiple different places through history, which is the browser history where the user has been. And how we would do that if we wanted to jump backwards through history is we would go history.go and -2 if we wanted to jump backwards 2 places in history. And if we wanted to go forward 2 places in history, we just change that to 2. Let's go and also talk about reloading the page. We can do pretty much the same thing here. Let's just say whenever they click the guy called reload, then we want to come over and leave all this be exactly the same, except for this guy right here, we're going to change this to window.location.reload, and that's going to reload the browser, throw true inside of there. And if we come in here and rewind this, you can already have gone over how to go to Google. We can go forward a page, we can go back a page, and then you could jump on reload and it's going to reload the page. So there's a whole bunch of different things we can do with the browser. It's kind of cool. Go and do a couple more things here. Now what I'm going to focus in on is actually grabbing elements and styling them. So let's say that I wanted to get all of the paragraph elements that I have on my page. I'm going to store those inside of an array. What I'm going to do is go get elements by tag name. That's going to give me every single whatever I put inside of here, and I'm going to say paragraph in this situation. So those are all stored in an array. Now if I'd want to come in here and style one of these paragraphs that's stored inside of here, like let's say the second one, I could go background color like this and give it a color like that and reload, and you're going to see that the background color changed for that guy, but it didn't change for the other paragraphs. You can see where the paragraphs are. So there's a paragraph here and there's a paragraph there. And there's another paragraph right there. So you can see how those are styled and how we can target them and grab them and throw them in arrays and do all kinds of other things. Now let's say we want to target the HTML of a document. So we'll go document dot, and here I'm going to use child nodes. So I'm going to grab the second child node on our page and change the background color for this as well and reload it, and you can see everything colored itself. And the reason why is I basically targeted the HTML tag, which is going to be the first child on that, or on the document as a whole. We can also go and get even more specific with grabbing these child nodes. Like let's say we wanted to change the color of the first child in our sample div 2, this guy right here, this whole entire div. How would we do that? Well, we could go sample div 2 first off and go document dot get element by ID and then throw in sam div 2. And now what we'll be able to do is go sam div 2 child nodes, and let's say we want to grab the first child. We'll just go 0 inside of there and then style, and let's just change the background color again because that's worked for us in the past. And here we'll just go F and reload it, and you can see that that got selected there as well. And if we look over here at what we selected, you can see that we selected the very first child inside of this, which is this paragraph right here, and it's going to go and select everything inside of there. Now let's say we want to style the first child of the sample div's first child, which would this guy. So what we want to do is we want to specifically come in here and get the first child of this paragraph tag, which we just grabbed, which is this guy right here. Well, we just come down here, basically going to do the same type of thing. Go and select this, copy, paste that inside of there, and then we can structure these or chain them. So child nodes once again, and here we'll put one inside of there, and here we'll change the color up a little bit so it sticks out, and reload, and you can see that it went in there and grabbed that emphasis tag that we have right here. So that's how we grab all those guys. One thing that's very important to remember, however, is that JavaScript can get confused by text nodes whenever they're trying to target elements, and text nodes are basically white space. And let me show you an example of how we can target or find text nodes. So I'm gonna come in here, let's just do a document right again. There's a way to find out if something's a text node or not. So I'll say node type, and then let's do the sample div 2, and then we'll go child nodes like this, and then we'll target 0 child node, and then we'll try target another child node again, child nodes, and let's make this also 0 like this, and then after that go node type. And if we do that and reload it, it's going to tell us that this is a type 3 node, the first child of sample div as well as the first child of that one. And this is also telling us that this is a text node. Now if you go and try to style a text node, you're not going to be able to do it, which is going to give you an error. Now there's different ways that you're going to be able to handle this. If it comes back as 1, that means it's a non-text node, just so you know that. But there's different ways you can handle this. Basically, in your HTML, you can come in and eliminate all the different text nodes inside of here, which is going to be done either through deleting all of the white space or by using a minimizer, or you can just simply use child nodes. So there's a downfall in that if you go in and delete all the white space and get rid of all the text nodes, you're going to be able to do things like last child and know that it's going to work well on every single browser. Another one would be first child, but I personally just would prefer to come in and just use these node types or to target things using IDs. You can do it either way, just understand that you're going to have to eliminate white space or use a minimizer to be 100% positive that you're going to be able to use these other different intricate ways of selecting these nodes. And I personally find it, I'm not really losing out on anything by just using child nodes to select everything or by just putting IDs on all my elements and selecting them that way. Another thing we can do is let's just copy this, paste this inside of here. We can get a node name. So we'll just go node name. And let's leave this B00 and all this other different stuff, except change this to node name like that. Reload the screen, and you can see right there it comes back as a text node. However, let's go and get one of the guys that we know works, like this one right here, and 1. So leave that B0, change this to 1, and if we do that, you can see that it comes back as EM. So there's different ways to go in and target and grab all those different guys, and it's just something to think about in regards to how browsers are able to parse through your HTML and how you can work with it and try to avoid errors. Another thing we can do is come in here and change element attributes. So let's target our logo. I'm going to call this entity logo2 equal to, and we're going to be able to, of course, get the element by ID like that, and the ID for that is logo. So we'll just change that to logo, or logo2, and now we can come in here and check different attributes. So we can go in here and do document right again, and we could verify that the logo, for example, has an alt. So has alt, and to do that, just go entity logo2 and go has attribute, and then the attribute that we are specifically looking for, which is alt. You could have this inside of an if structure, which if it says, hey, we have that attribute, well then you could go in and change it. Otherwise, you would have an error if you tried to change an attribute that doesn't exist. And why don't we just go in here and also go and change that attribute. So entity logo2 again, and set the attribute pretty easily. Set the alt and then break statement, and then we could also then get that attribute once again, paste that in there, and we could say something like logo alt value, and to get the attribute just change this from has attribute to get attribute. And what the heck, we can also come in here and just get all the attributes for an element, and I'll show you exactly what this looks like when it prints out. Let's go attribute list, and you can get every single attribute an element has by going get element by ID again, and then we're targeting the logo2, and then to get every attribute, just put attributes at the end of that. And then we'll be able to go in here and cycle through all the attributes with a for loop. Trying to show you a whole bunch of different crazy things here you might somehow use or find some reason to use. Of course, we would just get the length of that array, cycle through all of those, and then we would come in here and print them out on the screen. So document, and we could just do attribute, make sure you throw this inside of quotes, and maybe we want to attribute 1, let's number all of them, and then we could do something like this. And then to get the individual attribute, go attribute list like this, and I inside of there, and then we could get the node name, which you just saw a second ago, and then we could divide that and also come in here, attribute list I, and then in this situation we could say node value. Alright, I did a whole bunch of things. Let's see what the result is. You can see right here, does the logo have an alt? Comes back as true. And let's go and see the logo. There's the logo. You can see it does have an alt. Logo alt value doesn't come back here in this situation. And the reason why is I went and threw a break statement inside of there. Sorry about that. Let's say entity logo2 like that. Now it's going to show a value. You can see there it is. And then we cycled through every single attribute that was there and checked whether they were defined or not. And it didn't show any of those because this needs to be uppercase. Sorry about that. A couple little errors slipping in here, and now you can see all of them show up. So pretty useful stuff. You're also going to be able to come in here and add in different elements into the HTML page. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a paragraph 3 element, and to do that you just go document and create element, and then you're going to tell it what type of element you want to create. Well, I want to create a paragraph element, and that's how easy that is to do. Now we can also, of course, come in here and set attributes on these guys. So let's just go